In today's video, I'd like to do a follow-up to that really common question about when do we use pentatonics. And so we're going to look at what are the most closely related key signatures. And so strictly speaking for now, we're talking about major pentatonic. And we did mention that the major pentatonic is a very simple scale. It's only 5 notes, and so we sort of avoid these note landmines. So let's take a look. So if, for example, we had the key of, let's try B major. If we had the key of B major, and we're going to do a few examples today, and I wanted to know, what does the B major pentatonic work in? What does B major pentatonic work in? What key signatures am I allowed to use that in? I'm allowed to use that, and if I think about my circle of fifths, and we'll just do a really quick example here. If I think about my circle of fifths, we'll cut it right down here in the half, and according to my circle of fifths, I've got C, G, D, A, E, B, and F sharp. And so according to the videos that we talked about earlier, I'm allowed to go 1 unit to the left and 1 unit to the right. And so what that means is in B major pentatonic, I can use that scale in the key of B major, in the key of E major, and in the key of F sharp major. Okay, so relatively simple concept, and we have a proof of that in an earlier video if in case you missed it. Let's look at some other ones. What would be, for example, if somebody said, hey, I've got the A flat major pentatonic, what keys am I allowed to play that in? Okay, now this would simply mean that we have to build the subdominant side of the circle of fifths. So on this side, that means we're going to go F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, and well, F sharp is the same thing as G flat. And once again, I'm allowed to go 1 unit to the left. I should say maybe 1 unit up the circle and 1 unit down the circle. And so what does A flat major pentatonic work in? Well, it turns out that A flat major pentatonic will work in the key of A flat major, it will work in the key of E flat major, and it will work in the key of D flat major. So it's the 2 most closely related key signatures. Let's go ahead and do one more example, and we have our little circle of fifths up here. And let's see our last example here for this one. We're going to ask ourselves the question, what would, let's see, if I had the G flat, how about if I had the G flat major pentatonic scale? And I wanted to know, what am I allowed to play that in? Well, the obvious answer is G flat major, but what else? Well, I could use G flat major in the key of, let's maybe use a different color here. I can use it in the key of B, and I could also use it in the key of D flat. And so it turns out that I could use G flat major pentatonic in the key of G flat, obvious, or, F sharp. I could use it also in the key of B major, and finally I could use it in the key of D flat major. Now, to me, this is really an absolutely amazing concept because it means, as a musician, I don't necessarily have to be 100% perfectly accurate in determining the key. And if I have to do just a rough analysis of the key signature, I know that I can just sort of go to pentatonics and I'm going to be okay. There's not going to be a great issue in terms of missing some of these notes. So this is why it should matter to you. It should matter if you do improvisations. So if you're someone who does solos or improvs of any sort, then you should really care about this information because you should know, what am I allowed to use it in? And what happens if you get the key signature wrong? There's all sorts of examples like that. And you go, well, wait a minute, I got the key signature from published music. Doesn't matter. A lot of times published music is incorrect as well. It's just the way that they view the key signatures. And sometimes key signatures, to be honest, can be open for debate. It actually depends. There could be so many different kinds of accidentals that it could fit kind of nicely into 2 different key signatures. So there's a lot of license and a lot of margin for error. In future videos, we're going to continue to take a look at pentatonic scales, their usefulness. We're going to look at more scales and building other scales as well.